Well, hello. I just wanted to show you my latest baby quilt project. I put this together a week or so ago, and it's a Pooh Bear cheater quilt. This part is the cheater part where Pooh and Eeyore, Piglet are, and I added these 3 borders. So if you can see, that's what it looks like on the front. And then I didn't have enough blue for the back, so what I did was I cut some blue checkered material and I added it to either end. So it's on both sides. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I have a little bit of this quilted. I started it and you can see some of the design on the back. So I just wanted to show you that. That's my new baby quilt project. What I was going to do today was roll my quilt. So I'm taking the pins out of, oh my goodness, I'm dropping them, out of this area right here. I'm going to just stick them in the center where I can find them. This material is a little bubbly in the center, so it's kind of hard to see my little pins. But if I run my hand around it, I can feel them and make sure I get them all. So I'm going to take all these pins out, holding the quilt in place. And then I'm going to roll it. I also have pins here on the side, holding the side in. And my little tool is under here. I don't know if you can see it right there. Has a little hole in the stand. It was made for it. So it's my tool for loosening my little arms here. I have a little wrench also to help me hold the bolt so it doesn't slip. And then I'll loosen this up here, the little cog, and then I'll go to the other side and I'll loosen. If I can get it loose. Oh, it's pretty tight today. Oh my goodness. I didn't think I tightened it that much. Well, maybe I ain't gonna get it loose. There we go. Just takes a little bit of elbow grease, as Grandma used to say. Elbow grease. Alright, I did miss a pin right there. Okay, so now we're going to take it and roll it as far as I have it quilted, which isn't too far because, I couldn't reach as far as I like anymore. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So, right in about here, and then I'm going to let my cog down to hold it. out. Make sure it's straight. I haven't gotten too far on this quilt. I just haven't been working at it too much. Alright, so tighten that up. Push those down. Wrong side here. And then I'll tighten. If I quit dropping stuff. Alright. So then I tighten those back up. The little nut. I guess you couldn't see that one. Tightening the nut back up here. So. And then I'm going to put my pins back in. To hold the quilt. So you want to make sure everything's smooth and tight so that, you know, you can quilt it easier. If it's tight, it's easier to quilt. When it's saggy, it's not easy to go up and down through the fabric with your needle. So just make it so you pull it good and tight. Guess you're not seeing. Alright, and then I take these little straps that I have here on the side and bring them to the quilt and attach them to the end, without poking myself, of course, to the ends of the quilt to hold it tight this way. This way. I usually use about 3 to 4 straps. I have 6 straps on here, but I don't always use them all. I usually only put about 3 to 4 at a time. I guess I should really have a camera person here to help me follow me around so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm gonna start on this end to start quilting after I get all my utensils brought back over. Alright, let's see. So, my scissors, my marking pencils, my stencils, my glove, my thimble, which I could use a new one, my sharpeners, and my thread and needles. So there we have our utensils. I'm going to put a knot in my thread. And I do have a little ruler. Okay. So I have this little design here. And I guess I'll put my glove on today. So I'm going to start on this just because if I do the borders first, like if I go around the ditch, then I tend to wipe my stencil off that I already drew. So I'm going to just start on my stencil and try to get it done so that I don't erase it by doing the borders, because that's what'll happen. If I do the borders first, then, you know, my arm or hand's running across the material, and so then it's going to erase it. And there's the phone. But, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to answer it because it's mostly robocalls, and so I haven't been answering my phone lately unless I know who it is. So I'm just going to go around, follow the lines, and if you can see, the lines go, you can usually follow a pattern, and I've said this before. Let's see, which pattern is this? It's this one. This is my pinwheel, and you can usually start in one section and go around, and it'll just keep going in a loop. So it's like you don't have to, unless you run out of thread, you don't have to cut your thread off if you don't want. You can just keep going around until all the loops are done. So that's kind of nice with that type of pattern. Some patterns, you know, you can't go in a loop constantly, consistently or constantly. So you have to kind of stop, cut your thread off, and start in a new section. But these ones you can continue your loop. Now when I get up here to the corner, sometimes I'll do one stitch at a time because it's easier. That way I don't mess it up too much. And sometimes I'll try to do more stitches and then I get a more of an uneven stitch look. And even as I'm stitching, I'll still rub off some of the pattern with my hand because you just can't help, you know, your hand's going to rub up against it. And so I'll just take my pencil and mark over it so I can see the lines. Sometimes I'll have to put the stencil back on to get the lines, but sometimes I can also just see the faint lines and run over them with your pencil again so that they're more visible. they're not too worn off, you can just quilt over it. It's not a problem, but sometimes I wear them off and then it's harder to see where you're going with your needle. But I know everybody's busy with summer and, you know, there's always more things to do during the summer months. But if you're doing any craft, quilting, any type of, you know, sewing projects, you know, let me know what you're doing. And if you can post a picture, I'd like to see your work also. But like I said before, I usually have a couple projects going at the same time. And there for a while, I really wasn't working on anything because of my surgery, and I was trying to be good and heal, you know, not be bending down doing sewing and messing with fabric. So I wasn't doing anything for a little while. But now I'm doing better and trying to get back into quilting because I'd like to get these quilts finished, especially this one because I have another one that I need to start for my other granddaughter. So there's always something else that I have planned to do in the background for, you know, future quilts. So there's always something else going through, you know, a quilter's head or any kind of a artist, you know, they're always thinking of the next project. So you're always thinking there's so many designs and so many things you can do. It's like non-stop in your head. You just always are thinking of something else that you can create and put together. Just so many variations and so many possibilities. There's a never-ending possibility for any artist. Never-ending amount of designs. But I do hope you all enjoy my quilting videos, and I hope they're helpful for all of you who are watching. So that's what they're for. I'm trying to impart any kind of helpful advice that I can. And if anyone has any other specific questions, you know, that you need to ask or want to ask, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will get back to you. I'm going uphill, so it's kind of hard on my thumb because I'm pushing uphill with my thumb, whereas when I'm going downhill, I'm using my finger thimble, and I don't have a thimble for my thumb, which I have had. I've made different thimbles for my thumb out of my leather thimbles. So, but I don't have one on today, and so I have to use the back of my leather thimble to try to push it up the heel. So it's hard to start when you turn the corner and you're up in the seam line area, because there's more fabric up here, so you have to get through more layers of fabric. Because sometimes my stencils reach into the seam area. Technically, you should use a stencil that doesn't reach that far, but these stencils cover more of the square. So I liked them, and I thought, well, I'm just going to use them. But really, the right thing to do is to get a stencil that is about an inch away from your seam line, so that you're not hitting into your seam line. And that way, it's a lot easier to quilt. But not all stencils are always the right size for your block project. So, I mean, you can put your quilt together and try to find a stencil that will fit better in your pattern, in your block. Or, like I do, I just cut the blocks the size I want them, and then I try to look through the patterns that I already have and use what I have, because I like these patterns that I have for this quilt, and to try to find one that's going to fit exactly sometimes, and it's the pattern that you want. Sometimes that can be a chore too. So technically you should measure your pattern that you want to use and make your block the size that it should be. But sometimes that's an afterthought for me. So I make my quilt and then I try to find a pattern to fit it. But to each his own. Everybody does things differently. And sometimes I do things backwards. I think everybody does. Nobody's perfect, and things that we make aren't perfect either, because we're imperfect. So you just do your best, and it usually turns out fine. You can't get too stressed out about things that you're doing, like craft projects, because otherwise it's not going to be enjoyable if you're stressing out too much, and if it's too stressful for you to do or for you to think about, then you're probably not going to make it. You're probably not going to make the project or do it. So if you just take it one step at a time and go with the flow, you'll most likely get the project finished, accomplish what you wanted. You can't stress out about everything. There's enough stress in life. You don't need to make your craft project stressful. So craft projects are supposed to be relaxing, not stressful. This has been a fun quilt to quilt, though, because there's a lot of variation in it. It's not all the same quilt patterns. Throughout the quilt, I've been changing it up and using different snowflake pattern, so I'm not having to quilt the same snowflake over and over, or because that tends to get boring to me. But then, you know, I still have, you still do the same borders and stuff, but then you have the little Olafs, and then you have the princesses in the center. And I'm probably going to knot some of the center so that I'm not quilting all of it, because it'll go faster, but just because I would like to get it done quicker. But there's just a lot of quilting in the center to do if I'm gonna quilt it all. So yeah, that will take a lot longer. And my granddaughter's being anxious about getting her quilt. So I thought maybe I'd put knots in part of it. But usually by the time I'm done quilting a quilt, I'm ready for another adventurous pattern or design. I'm almost done with this little snowflake. I've got a little bit more to go. Oh, this is probably going to be one of my longer videos. Seems like they keep getting longer and longer as I go. So I'm already almost on a half an hour. And my videos usually aren't that long, because I don't like to bore people with long videos. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. We are done with that one. Right. So I'm going to show it to you real quick. Get a little closer. let's just, there, looks better, I think. So there it is, and I'm going to keep working on the borders and quilting more, so I'm going to say have a good day and keep quilting and enjoy your quilting projects. We'll see you later. Bye.